As I mentioned, my name is Tina Wahardo, registered dietitian and health educator. Thank you guys so much for joining today's conversation and in class on Let's Talk Cherries. I work with the community health department at Bronson here, and we appreciate you guys joining us for a free virtual healthy living class. We're going to go ahead and get started here with some other housekeeping items. Whenever we are doing our healthy living classes, we want to share with you all some resources. If you are a Bronson patient or whether you're not a Bronson patient, we have our bronsonhealth.com website, a Find a Doctor feature that is available. If maybe you're looking for a specialist or looking for a primary care provider in your area, you can search the Bronson Health website, or if you don't end up going to the Bronson Health website very often, you can also call the local number that's listed on your screen. We have care advisors always available to help you search for a specialist that might be accepting new patients in the area that you might need assistance with. Additionally, if you are using our Bronson MyChart feature, and if you ever have any questions about MyChart, whether it's how to use it, how to use some of the features, Bronson Health Answers is a resource within the Bronson system. There's a local number and a 1-800 number and an email address listed on the screen. If you ever need any help with MyChart, Bronson Health Answers are the people to talk to. If you ever have any billing or payment plan questions, then Bronson Patient Accounting is available at the phone numbers listed Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30. And then the last feature I want to share with you guys is our price estimator tool. The price estimator tool is a resource that you can use if you ever get referred for a service, maybe an x-ray, an MRI, and you're just like, I just don't know how much this is going to cost me out of pocket. The price estimator team at that local phone number listed, or you can use the tool within the Bronson MyChart app or website, and you do not have to have an active MyChart account in order to use that feature, but that team or that tool can help give you a quote for the price of the service that you've been referred for, so you know kind of what to expect once you get that procedure or service done. So just some features that we have and some resources that we have here at Bronson to get us started. So what are our goals together in this class? My goals for you at the end of this class is that you are going to learn some health benefits that have been linked to eating cherries. We're going to talk about some local spots here in Michigan to pick these wonderful cherries that we have available within our great state. And then I want to share with you 3 different recipes that I thought were quite intriguing that I would love for you guys to maybe try out this summer and in a way to kind of enjoy cherries in another way other than just eating them fresh off the stem, right? It's fun to be able to use those in other ways too. So I'm going to share those with you too. So here is your opportunity to unmute yourself and share with the group if you feel comfortable. If you don't want to unmute and say it out loud, totally fine. Please go ahead and chat. Just type your answer in the chat feature. But what is your favorite way to eat cherries?
Hi, this is Jenny, and I love cherries, just taking them right from the stem and eating them and just enjoying them that way. But I'll just do all kinds of stuff with cherries, pies, putting them on my cereal, you just name it. If I can put my cherries anywhere, that's fine.
Yeah, cherries are quite versatile in that way, right? And I'm a purist as well. Like, just give me a bag of cherries and I'll just eat them. I'm getting some answers here in the chat too. So covered in chocolate, I mean, of course, right? And we'll actually talk a little bit about chocolate later. So maybe we can put those things together. Cherry pie, classic, absolutely. On top of cheesecake, fresh right after buying them from a market or up north roadside, absolutely. I love those food stands. Cherry pies, right from a bowl. cherry juice. I'm glad that you bring that up. I don't drink a lot of cherry juice. I've not actually tasted it, to be honest with you. We'll talk a little bit about cherry juice today. So thank you so much for bringing that up as well. Cherry juice is one of those ways in which cherries can be preserved, right? For those kind of off seasons, when we don't have those fresh cherries available and are purchasing right from the road stand. So another great option to enjoy cherries. All right, love it. Thank you. It gets a good kickstart to how we like to have some cherries. So before we get too far into our conversation, I want to just kind of give some background information on how impactful cherries are to our Michigan economy. These are all stats and fun facts that are available from the Michigan Grown website, which is the website that I will be sharing with you guys at the end of the class, where I found some of the recipes that I'm sharing with you guys. But did you guys know that 70% of the tart cherry supply in the United States is grown right here in Michigan? So 70% of the tart cherries that are grown in the United States are grown right here in Michigan. It is these tart cherries, or what they refer to as the Montmorency tart cherries, are, oh, Joe is saying you guys are seeing my presenter mode. Is that better, Joe?
You got it.
You can see the full screen now better? Okay, I'm going to assume that's a yes. So Montmorency cherries are unique to the state of Michigan in our climate, that we are able to grow these types of cherries. Another fun fact, in 2018, Michigan was able to produce 201 million pounds of tart cherries for distribution all across the United States. And we are home to the cherry capital of the world, which is identified as Traverse City. I'm sure we all enjoy Traverse City from time to time. And as I mentioned earlier, right, we're the largest grower of all the states of these very particular types of cherries, these Montmorency tart cherries, which have been identified as America's super fruit. And that's what I want to share with you guys today is why are these particular types of cherries identified as America's super fruit. So Montmorency tart cherries are identified as America's super fruit because they ultimately have the highest levels of disease-fighting antioxidants. And if we remember what an antioxidant is, I taught a class on this a few weeks back about antioxidants, but let's remember that antioxidants are simply a molecule that we can obtain from our food sources that really fight against these free radicals that our body can be exposed to. Free radicals can be produced from healthy things like eating food or performing exercise, participating in physical activity. And not all free radicals are necessarily negative, but there is a threshold, there is a boundary in which we exceed those free radicals in our body, then it can start to cause damage towards our good, healthy cells, and that can promote disease, unfortunately. Now, there are also unhealthy ways in which we would have free radicals in our body, and that would be, exposure to cigarette smoke, whether we're smoking cigarettes or exposed to secondhand smoke. We can also obtain free radicals or form free radicals in our body from just air pollution. So some things we have control of and some things we do not. However, when we are focused on good nutrition and getting lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains and legumes that are high in these antioxidants that can help fight off these free radicals and suppress the risk to develop certain diseases, then we have some control over that. Not only are these Montmorency tart cherries really good sources of antioxidants, but also good sources of vitamin A and vitamin C, which are antioxidants in and of themselves too. Tart cherries are also really good sources of potassium, magnesium, iron, and fiber. So when I start to have this conversation about health benefits around cherries, I want us to also just kind of take a step back and recognize that some of the nutrients that are high in cherries, we can obviously get from other food sources too. We know that cherries have a very short growing season in Michigan. They're not always readily available to us at all times. So we can get the antioxidants that have been identified to be beneficial within the cherry from other sources of foods too. And I want to highlight that as well. Give me just a second. So what are the antioxidants that have been identified to be the most health promoting in these Montmorency tart cherries, and why they are identified as America's superfruit? You may be familiar with some of these names already. They're not words that we typically see very often, but anthocyanins are the first antioxidant that we're going to discuss today. Quercetin, procyanidins, and phenolic acids are the 4 antioxidants that we're going to discuss as being beneficial within the tart cherry. So before we go into the health benefits, I want to know from you guys in a poll question. You should see this showing up on your screen here in just a second. Have you bought any cherries yet this year? I was sharing before our class started that somebody had shared with me that they've already seen some pretty good sales on the cherries in the grocery store. I've seen them in the grocery store, but I personally haven't bought any yet. So it looks like the majority of you guys have already answered. And I love that there is nobody that answered, no, I'm not a big fan of cherries. You are all a lover of cherries. And I hoped that would be the case coming to a cherry class. So 10 of you have said, yes, can't wait to buy more. And 7 of you are saying not yet, but will be. And we can make that 8 because I'm in that category as well. I love that you guys have already gotten a kickstart to the cherry season, and most of you guys have already bought some. I love it. All right, so I did an overview of the names of the type of antioxidants that are present in these tart cherries. Now let's kind of expand a little bit further about what these antioxidants are and kind of what they've been linked to. And I'm going to say, I'm going to use the word linked or may a lot, because as we know in a lot of nutrition research, right, we have a couple of studies that might say something, but we don't have an overwhelming body of evidence to prove that a certain antioxidant, cures blood pressure or cures heart disease. And so again, it's all as part of a healthy, nutritious diet. So anthocyanins are the first antioxidant that we are going to expand upon. And anthocyanin is really more like a pigment. It is the pigment or the molecule within our produce that is red, blue, and purple. We've all heard the recommendation to eat the rainbow, right? We need to eat more reds, we need to eat more oranges, we need to eat more yellow colors, and that is because each of those pigments provide us different forms of antioxidants. Obviously, cherries are a red color, yes, some deeper red, some lighter, brighter red colors, but that is the anthocyanins providing that red tint. But it is the anthocyanins that are also providing blue and purple tints as well. This antioxidant in particular has been potentially linked to and may help reduce blood pressure, cholesterol, and inflammation, and help increase blood flow, particularly in the brain. When we're talking about the antioxidants that have been linked to these cherries, that is really what we're talking about most often. The antioxidant of disease fighting and the reduction in inflammation. That is where most of these antioxidants play a role. And when we're talking about inflammation, we're often talking about, reducing, the rigidity of blood vessels, reducing blood pressure. And there's a lot of research on these antioxidants in cherries as far as increasing blood flow that can be really great for like athletic performance, muscle soreness, maybe joint pain, arthritis. There's some research in that area too. So now, again, I already said that cherries have a short growing season, and yes, we can, freeze them and get them in dried varieties or have some juice on hand. But remember that we can get the antioxidant that's present in the cherry from other sources too, that are black, purple, and red. And so on the right-hand side of your screen, you will see a list of other foods that are also excellent sources of anthocyanins. So don't think that these properties can only come from cherries alone. We can get these properties and the health benefits from the anthocyanins from black and red grapes and pomegranate. I just used red cabbage yesterday in a stir fry recipe, eggplant, radishes, black beans, which we don't think of very often. And in my particular case, I don't think about like beans and rice as being antioxidant sources. I think of them fruits and vegetables being mostly antioxidant sources, but black beans and black rice can also be really great sources of this particular antioxidant. All right, quercetin is the next antioxidant that we are referring to. It is a type of flavonoid. Again, it has the same properties of being very antioxidant focused. It also has anti-inflammatory properties. So when we're talking about, increased blood flow potentially, it may be linked to lower rates of decline as far as cognitive ability, including memory. Okay, so I'm saying linked and I say be may because is it completely proven? No. Is there some research to support this? Yes. Quercetin can also be found, again, not only in cherries, but in other food sources, such as red and yellow onions, kale, green and black tea, cherry tomatoes, broccoli, blueberries, apples, and dill. And hopefully we are getting the impression that, again, it really takes eating the rainbow, right? We see red on this screen, we see yellow on this screen, green, blues, greens from broccoli and dill. I taught a class the other week on antioxidant properties of fresh herbs. And so I love that dill was listed in this list of other sources of quercetin that we can get the health benefits from. Procyanidins is the next antioxidant. Procyanidins is the next antioxidant that has been identified in tart cherries and making it America's super fruit. It is a type of polyphenol, and I don't need to say it again, but again, they all have these antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Procyanidins is actually quite abundant in our food supply in fruits, vegetables, and legumes. So again, all of our beans, peas can be a great source of procyanidins too. So cranberries, cocoa, kiwi, and pears are other great resources. The next antioxidant is called phenolic acid, which is a type of phytochemical. And you probably have heard of phenolic acids, maybe even more so than the other antioxidants that I've talked about so far. Phenolic acids have been linked to potentially decreasing the risk of high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. And again, not only abundantly found in fruits and vegetables, but also whole grains and nuts as well. So phenolic acids are not only found in cherries, but also in blueberries and blackberries. Somebody mentioned in the chat that they love cherries covered in chocolate. And so cocoa powder can be a really great source of phenolic acids. And just a tip, and you guys are probably very familiar with the percentages when it comes to dark chocolate and cocoa powder. The higher the percentage, the more phenolic acid. The more processing, like with a milk chocolate, then there's going to be less phenolic acid. So we're going to get more antioxidant properties in the darker chocolate. Pecans and almonds, but also hazelnuts are great sources of phenolic acids. Flax seeds, artichokes, red onions, spinach, and olives are also great sources. So I want to hear from you guys. What is your favorite way or what is your favorite fruit or vegetable that is red, blue, or purple that is providing you that antioxidant anthocyanin? Go ahead and unmute yourself or put it in the chat. What is your favorite red, blue, or purple fruit and vegetable? And if you want to even go one step further and share not only what your favorite is, but what your favorite way to use it. Penny already says blueberries. I see some people unmuting, so go ahead.
Cherries, eggplant.
Do you have any tips for eggplant? I struggle with eggplant personally.
I love just baking it and, slicing it in half, baking it and doing it that way, and just add a little bit of seasoning to it, and I'm good to go.
Okay. Yeah, oftentimes we'll see eggplant kind of mixed in with like a saute of, zucchini and yellow squash. I'm seeing you guys are a lot of purists, right? Just straight up blackberries, straight up blueberries, straight up grapes and chicken salad. That's a really good idea. I love that. We talked about dill being a really good antioxidant source as well, and that goes really good in a chicken salad or a potato salad too. Carolyn is saying blueberries. Absolutely. Anybody else want to unmute and share? Okay, very good. So we talked about the antioxidant properties of cherries and why those are beneficial to our health, why eating the rainbow really is the most important thing, though, when it comes to eating fruits and vegetables. When we talked about cherries, a lot of the research, with anything, right? When we talk about antioxidant properties, like in the class that I just took, we talk about fresh herbs being really good antioxidants, but you have to use a large quantity of fresh ingredients, just the same as with cherries. When we are eating cherries, we have to eat like 1 to 2 cups worth of cherries in order to get like the true benefit that the research shows. But if we're doing juice, juice is way more condensed, right? More of those nutrients in a smaller amount. And a lot of the research shows that in 100% tart cherry juice, a lot of the research is around like 1.5 to 2 ounces of juice as the recommended serving size to get the good antioxidant properties of that. And then when we're talking about dry cherries and getting those benefits, we're usually talking about a quarter of a cup to about half a cup. Those are the kind of the recommendations when it looks at the research and those health benefits. So when we're talking about where can we go for cherry picking, I wanted to just kind of highlight some farmers markets, some orchards in the local area. Plus, some of you guys have already mentioned like going up north to some roadside stands. So if you guys have a favorite where you go cherry picking in any one of these counties that I have not already said, please, please, please feel free to share. But here in Kalamazoo County, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but Husted's Farm Market on West Main Street has cherry picking. I have identified those that list that say they particularly have tart cherries available for picking. So Overheiser Orchards in South Haven in Van Buren County has identified that they have tart cherries available for picking in a U-pick manner. In Allegan County in Fenville, Crane Orchards U-pick is available for cherry picking. In Berrien County in Coloma, Michigan, there's Fruit Acres Farm Market that has cherries available. In Rockford, within Kent County, Grange Ave Market particularly said that they have Montmorency sour cherries available for U-pick variety. And then, you know, we all go up north, right? So I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly either, but Frisky or Frisk Orchards in Ellsworth, Michigan has Montmorency tart cherries for picking. And then in their great cherry capital of the world, Traverse City, Third Coast Fruit Company also has tart cherries available. And actually, before I go any further, would you guys add anything to this list for cherry picking? Maybe a personal favorite? Go ahead and unmute yourself if so, or share the name of the cherry picking location that you like to go to in the chat. All right, I'm not seeing anybody unmuting. So I live in Battle Creek, and unfortunately there is no U-pick cherry place in Calhoun County that I could discover. So I was sad to see that, but Kalamazoo County is not too far away. All right, so I want to hear from you guys. Have you ever been cherry picking before? I am going to launch that poll for you. Have you ever been cherry picking? Go ahead and answer in the chat. Your questions are never, I'd prefer just to buy the cherries, nope, but I think I will this year, and a few times in my life, or there's the die-hard cherry pickers as often as I can. All right, looks like most of you guys have voted, and you guys are pretty neck and neck between never, I just prefer to buy the cherries, and a few times in my life. I also just want to just mention that, you know, a lot of the places that I listed for cherry picking are, you know, they don't usually just have cherries available for you pick as well. A lot of places will also have blueberries and apples available for picking. I've never been cherry picking. I definitely would go cherry picking at some point just to have that experience, but you know, I'd like to just go to the grocery store and get the cherries myself too. So here are the recipes that I wanted to share with you guys in order to utilize cherries all year round. Notice that in these recipes, you can use fresh or frozen cherries. A couple of the recipes that I am showing will also be using dried cherries too. So I wanted to present you with a variety of different recipes depending upon how you purchase the cherries. And I will, at the end of the class, put the links for these cherry recipes in the chat. But as you guys know, in our summaries at the end of the class that we post on the Bronson Eats page, we'll also have these links too. So the first recipe that I am showing to you is a Michigan cherry vinaigrette. I told you that all of these recipes are going to be from the michigangrown.org website, which you see at the bottom of your screen. And this cherry vinaigrette just includes tart cherries, whether fresh or frozen. It's got some different oils and vinegars in it as a staple for a vinaigrette, a little bit of sweetness and maybe a maple syrup or a honey. And then a lot of times cherry vinaigrettes will also have a Dijon mustard. This one's also got a fresh herb tarragon in its place too. And again, just a very easy recipe to enjoy on top of any sort of salad. But the next salad that I'm sorry, I guess I should have had these in order. I'm going to skip around a little bit. It would go really great on top of this Michigan Summer Farm Bounty salad that uses dry cherries on top of a bed of mixed greens, with whatever vegetables that you might want to add to that. Tomatoes, cucumbers, red onions, strawberries, apples would really go in there quite nicely as well. And then I have never heard of cinnamon croutons, but I was quite intrigued as part of a summer salad. I thought that that sounded super delicious. So this bounty salad is using dried cherries to use up those Michigan cherries. And then I'm going to go back a second here. And this recipe is a cherry salsa. You know, if you've gone to Traverse City and you've walked through those stores up there, you also see a lot of like cherry salsas and cherry jams, cherry barbecue sauce. So I'm giving you 3 different options, but please go to this michigangrown.org website and take a look at all the other cherry recipes that they have available too. This cherry salsa recipe in particular, I'm sharing you the cherry salsa recipe, but if you go to that link, it is also instructing you to make kale chips, and you're using the kale chips and the cherry salsa as the dip as one. So I thought that was a pretty interesting combination and offering. All right, that was the Farm Bounty salad. I just went backwards a little bit for you guys. So we kind of flew through that, but our goals today were to learn some health benefits of eating cherries and talk about some local cherry picking spots, discuss 3 different ways in which to enjoy cherries all year round. So hopefully you guys were able to get some good ideas on how to use cherries. And so I want to hear from you guys. You know, what is your goals from today's class? What are your goals from today's class that you guys want to work on moving forward? Is it maybe going cherry picking this year, using up one of those recipes, going off to the grocery store this weekend and buying some cherries? What do you guys plan on doing with this information today? Go ahead and unmute yourself or share it in the chat. Yeah, so Joe says switch from sweet cherries to tart cherries. And so at the beginning of the class, yes, I'm focusing definitely on tart cherries today, but also recognize that sweet cherries have many nutritional properties as well. So, but switching from sweet to tart, or just including more tart and mixing it up with sweets too, yes. Looking forward to making the dressing. I agree, Penny. I thought that sounded super delicious. Using the recipes. And I will put the recipes in the chat here in a second too, so you guys can click on them. You guys have them before I get the summary sheet out. Does anybody else want to share what they'll be working on with this information?
Just learning that some foods that I wasn't aware of were listed in the antioxidants, I believe, that I found was surprised that they were there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good. Mary says learning about the nutritional properties of cherries. Absolutely. You know, we really focused on those antioxidants, but you know, I think when we look at, you know, cherries get a pretty good reputation for, you know, having lots of health benefits, and that is absolutely correct as far as, you know, maybe helpful in blood pressure and diabetes and heart disease, but really it's using cherries, you know, while also working on eating all those other good fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans that also provide us with similar and just other different type of antioxidant properties that all work together to fight those diseases. So looking forward to finding the juice. Oh, sorry. Working to the daily routine. Okay, so somebody's going to work on looking for a 100% tart cherry juice as well. Virginia, Jenny, what were you going to say?
I think I'm going to, not only with the cherries, but all the other foods that, you know, you had listed. I thought, oh, gee, you know, you can really incorporate a lot of different things and even add the cherries in with some of these foods, you know, so it's like you're getting more, you know, value from and benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great summary, Jenny. Thank you so much for saying that. You know, just kind of thinking back to some of the other foods that have these nutritional components as well, right? I mean, we talked about spinach and how great that could be as part of a spring mix salad with, you know, the tomatoes that also have anthocyanins, and you can have, you know, black beans on that salad as well, and you could have some nuts on that salad, and you could make the cherry vinaigrette. And what a powerhouse, right, of a salad that would be. And so you know, that's I think the tricky thing from my perspective, right, when we're talking about individual foods, some individual foods, you know, just like we identified, it's America's superfruit, right? So we think it's the end all be all, and it is a really great choice, but also not to forget that we have so many other different produce available to provide us with those nutrients as well. Penny is asking a question in the chat. Any chance I can see the first slide for the other fruits and veggies for the anthocyanins? So I'm just going to scroll back, so bear with me. There you go. Penny asked, can I see the first slide for the anthocyanins on the other fruits and vegetables? And remember, anthocyanins are the pigment that provide us the red, blue, and purple. So just think about foods that are red, blue, and purple. Any other questions? Right, she got that. So I'm going to go back to the end here. Thank you guys so much for sharing what you guys are going to do with this information. I wanted to also give you guys our upcoming classes. I believe actually the next class on June 28th, I don't know if any of you guys have registered for that class or not, but I think it is actually booked. If you look at the website, I think it's called Campus for Creative Aging. They do, if you're not able to watch that live, or if it is completely full, they also put a recording available on their YouTube channel as well. So no worries, you will be able to watch it eventually. We also have healthy cooking classes coming up around the use of Instant Pots and making some summer soups. We've got a cooking class on using cantaloupe in a couple of different ways too to keep us cool throughout the summer. We've got some children-focused healthy living classes moving forward. And then if any of you guys are in South Haven, we've got an in-person class coming up at the end of July at the Bronson Wellness Center in South Haven on decreasing the risk of falls. So those are our upcoming classes that we have. This is July's schedule because can you believe it's almost the end of June already? And we will not have any classes through the month of August, so keep that in mind, but we will reconvene coming September. In September, I don't know where you guys are all from, where you're joining us from, but in September, we're going to be offering virtual classes, and we are going to start doing some in-person classes again, too. So we've got some plans for some in-person classes in Battle Creek in South Haven, and we will be looking at Kalamazoo soon as well. So you will see that difference in our schedule coming up as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second so I can get you guys those recipe links. And then in addition to the recipes, I'm also going to share our survey link. So at the end of the classes, we also want to hear from you guys. You know, what do you guys want to see moving forward from us? You know, is this time of class still working well for you guys? Is this day of the week still working for you guys? So if you guys have the ability in a few minutes to complete our survey, that would also be appreciated. I am going to stop recording at this time.